Good morning. Welcome back to the Red Mic. Happy Wednesday. I'm glad you're here. Today's Red Mic message, the 10% that wins. Now, in every field, whether it's sports, business, leadership, or service, people chase the same outcome. The big moments that define their reputations and change the trajectories of everybody around them. But those moments don't come from luck, they come from discipline. And the fundamentals are the difference. Go back to the movie Hoosiers. Coach Norman Dale did something that made absolutely no sense to the crowd in Hickory. He didn't let his players shoot in practice. They weren't scrimmaging. They weren't doing heat checks. They weren't doing the things that make the crowds happy. They were just passing, working on footwork, spacing, repetition, discipline, the basics. And the townspeople hated it. They wanted to fire him. Players were rolling their eyes. Parents were muttering under their breath. But Coach Dale knew something that they didn't. You earn the right to take the shot by mastering everything that leads up to that shot. Hickory ultimately didn't win because they were more gifted. They won because they were more strategically and mechanically sound. Now, speaking of sound practices and ideas, I like to think that that's what you're getting here, because Red Mic Messages are leadership and life lessons picked up 25 years as a public servant, 16 years as a youth football coach and scouting volunteer, and 10 years as a mediocre athlete, well, with far more heart than actual physical ability. And in high school, I learned a lot about how to run practices and all of those things. And that came down to the late Joe Bob Tyler. Fantastic coach, fantastic man. He was inducted into the Texas High School Coaches Association Hall of Honor. And his philosophy was very blunt, but it was also very right. Perfect practice makes perfect. Not pretty practice, not mostly right practice, not we'll fix it again later practice, but perfect. We started every game. If anybody ever scouted us, they would know. First play of the game, they're going to run the 6-hole. They're going to run that 26 spinner. So don't pay attention to what's going on in the backfield. We're going to do an overload on that 6-hole. And maybe they did. Maybe they tried. But 26 spinner in Joe Bob Tyler's version of the single wing offense, it was a perfect play. And that's why it was always the first play he ran every game. And why no one was able to stop it, I don't have any idea. I don't remember it getting less than 3 or 4 yards, ever. I mean, it was automatic almost. And how did that happen? Even though that was the first play we ran and the play that we knew better than any other play in the playbook, he would run that play at least 5-10 times every practice. Oh, hey, left guard, you didn't do this. Right guard, you didn't do that. Tackle, hey, center, you got to get that knee down faster. All of these little things. Hey, running back, and I'm not naming names because I don't want to embarrass him. You didn't hit that hole right. You need to twist that. You need to spin a little bit tighter. Again, perfect practice makes perfect. Former NBA coach Phil Jackson, 11 NBA championships between the Bulls and the Lakers. He built entire dynasties on the same foundation. He believed that greatness wasn't created by motivational speeches or highlight reels. The footwork drills, repetition, chemistry, attention to detail. You master the 90, so the 10% makes it all worthwhile. And it's the same everywhere else. That last 10%, that's cranking it up to 11, man. Needing that extra little push over the cliff, so to speak. And it's the same everywhere. It's not just for gyms and locker rooms. It's for real life. It's for the properly written email that prevents a misunderstanding. It's for the budget report where you double check math to make sure you're absolutely right, even though you're tired and you're worn out. It's smiling through a phone call with an angry customer when you'd rather yell back at them. It's for the integrity you bring to the small tasks, not just the big ones. These moments are your fundamentals. These are your chess passes. These are your defensive stances. These are the habits that turn ordinary people into trusted leaders. Excellence doesn't just show up at the finish line. It shows up every day to make sure that you get there. Everybody wants the 10%, but only the disciplined earn it. So make the small things crisp, make them matter, make the daily things intentional, make the quiet things excellent. Master the 90%, but then work hard for that last 10. Strive to make that 10% phenomenal. And that's today's Red Mike message. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you're able to put some of these things in place in your own life. I would very much appreciate a like, a follow, and a share. Let your friends and your family and your coworkers know, hey, I've been listening to this guy, Red Mike Messages. Maybe you ought to listen. I'd appreciate it much. I'll see you again tomorrow. As always, life is short. Drink the bourbon.